Thanks so much for joining us today on Feeling Good, sponsored by Warren County Community Services. I'm your host, Shelley Abrams, and as you can see, we are outdoors today. It's actually a fairly blustery day, but we just had a little rain shower, and now we've got the sun shining. So we're trying to do our little discussion today while the sun's shining. So bear with us. And I think you'll enjoy the discussions that you hear with our two guests. Donna Fogarty on my right is the director of Warren County Community Services. And on my left is Joy Bennett, who is a City of Mason member of the City Council. Also, she's a part of many other activities here in Mason, and we're located today right here on the downtown plaza of Mason, Ohio, here in Warren County. Thanks for joining us, ladies, today. Love having you here. Well, we just decided there were so many updates, so many activities that were on the docket that I thought those of you in our audience would enjoy learning about and hopefully participating in the upcoming months. So at this point, let's, I hear that we're competing with, I think, a lawnmower over here. So hopefully you'll be able to hear us. However, let's get started. And Donna, let's maybe just remind our audience a little bit about your background, how you came to becoming director of Warren County Community Services, and let's start there.
All right. Well, I started at Warren County Community Services in 2022, and it's just crazy how quickly the time has gone, but I've been there now for a little over 3 years. And came to the organization from an organization in Missouri, and really have worked in community action, which we are a community action now, for about 12 years now. So have been grateful to be the leader of this organization. It's been incredibly busy, but wonderful.
Very good. Yeah, I know that you've really been busy throughout the county. And Warren County is a sizable county, isn't it?
It's a very large county. Our population is around 250,000. Now, when you think about meeting the needs of 250,000 people, that seems like a lot. However, we are really incorporated to serve the needs of lower income families and children and seniors who are experiencing poverty or just in a financial crisis, or who live on a fixed income. And so that's really only about, give or take, about 5 to 6% of the population.
Interesting. And then zeroing in, going from countywide to City of Mason, Joy, give us a little overview. How did you arrive at your position on City Council here in Mason, Ohio?
Well, I was elected in November of 2023. It's born in December 1st, 2023. So I'm about a year and a half in. I definitely still feel like a beginner. But I really started to pay attention to local government in 2016. I was unhappy with where things were nationally, and really had a reckoning, I guess, of like there's not a lot that one single person can do to improve things at the national level. But I felt like, okay, well, I live in a community. We've been here in Mason for our entire adult lives. My children are growing up here. What can I do here? How can I help cultivate connection and community here in the place where I live? So I started to pay attention to figure out, like, how does the city work? Where are their needs? And I discovered that our city council at the time was not very functional. There was a lot of conflict between the members, and it's hindering things from getting accomplished. And so I ran for the first time in 2019, learned a lot through the process, and then watched it just disintegrate into a complete toxic mess in 2020. During COVID, they're just the conflicts constantly, and it was just really disheartening to see that was the situation here in the city that I love, and that many people highly regard and respect. So I continued to stay involved. Actually, attempted a recall of a couple of those council members because of the things that they were doing or failing to do on behalf of the community. Learned a lot about like all these different processes that we go through or that we have available to us in our democratic republic. We also ended up doing 2 successful referendums the following year because of policies that this council pushed through in spite of heavy resistance and opposition from the community. And then I ran for city council, and I've had the opportunity now to serve, like I said, for a year and a half. We have a really great group of people who don't always agree, certainly have very differing opinions on things at the state and national level, but we all really care about the city. We respect each other's perspectives and experiences, and we work together really well. I'm really proud of that. And we've actually been able to make a lot of progress in the last year and a half. So that's been really fulfilling. And it's also given me the opportunity to really think about, like, okay, what's it look like to bring people together? We're multicultural, multilingual, international city here. I learned from our school district that children in our school district speak more than 75 languages. I don't even know 75 languages. That is just, it's mind-boggling. And people come here because we have a great school district. It's a great place to live, and I know that it is really difficult to meet and make friends when you're new, especially in the suburbs, because we drive in and out of our garages and we don't interact in the same way that you do in cities. And so I started working with an organization called Mason for Mason that is really testing and trying different things to help people meet, make those connections, because I know if our communities are strong, we can weather anything. Whether it's a national disaster, a recession, whatever, we'll be able to get through it.
I know that. I had been talking with you about community, bringing community together, getting neighborhoods to come together. And I live at the Greenery community over by the tennis center. And I know that we had, during campaign time, we had candidates come to our clubhouse and answer questions from our neighbors who we were just getting to know. Because sometimes when you live in a community, there are like 200 houses that, and there may be a handful of people that you see on a regular basis. So we went around to each house and dropped off information about this campaign candidate night. And that's, I think, when I first met you. And I've continued to follow up with you because I know currently you're going through leadership Warren County, which I'm a graduate of, and you are as well. And I think, doesn't that really open your eyes?
Absolutely.
What did you find with leadership Warren County?
I learned so much more than what I ever expected to learn about the county and the leaders within the county, and just how integral every piece of what everyone does is to the functioning of the entire county.
And just meeting them personally, getting to know them makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yes.
And them, you as well. I mean, they would regard the organization differently because they know you personally. So for that reason, and my involvement with area community leadership programs, I got to know several people in Hamilton that I met through the Leadership Hamilton program. And this has been several years ago. And they actually started a program called 17 Strong in Hamilton. That is really making a big difference. They've seen that their community of Hamilton, which is the county seat in Butler County, they see the 17 neighborhoods, all very different. And they have created activities and recognition and working groups, bringing those different neighborhoods together. So I mentioned that to Joy, and I said, "What do you think?" And Joy responded with,
Wow, that looks amazing. I need to go learn about it. Which I did.
Which you did.
So yeah, I met with the leaders of founders of 17 Strong, and I went to. They have an annual conference, I guess. That's kind of a share out where the different neighborhoods and people who've done different things in the community come and talk about it. What did we learn? How is this helping? And I was just so impressed with the vision that they had and how they have grown. I was really encouraged also because they said what you're seeing now is the fruit of 10 to 15 years of work.
Right.
So they're like, you don't expect to get here in a year, which was helpful.
Exactly.
And they also said, when we meet with folks in other communities who are thinking about building some kind of a neighborhood or community organization like this, we always remind them that every community is different. Every community is unique. And so we may find that it needs to be structured differently. So Hamilton actually has a city component to it. So they have an urban core. They have your traditional neighborhoods that are in grids. And then they have suburban neighborhoods with more of the curves and cul-de-sacs. Well, Mason, we don't have an urban core. We really only have traditional and suburban. And so when I invited folks to come and start talking about this idea with me, we all agreed that we didn't really think that approach to our city is quite the right one, at least not yet. And so right now we're really focusing on just how can we create opportunities for people to meet, and how do we make it easy? Because not everyone is willing to just walk up to somebody and strike up a conversation.
Right.
But whether you're introverted or extroverted, we all need relationships. That introverts get lonely too. And so we are actually hosting a conversation night here in downtown Mason on July 18th, where we're going to try something out and see how it goes.
Right.
So we're going to create conversation tables, and we have conversation prompts and hosts. So you just come and sit, and there will be someone to kind of guide the conversation. And it might be a question about, the craziest thing you've ever did or your favorite food. And just have a conversation for 15, 20 minutes. Hopefully you make a connection, you meet somebody that you connect with, or you just have a really good time and feel a little bit more connected with the community as a whole. We're going to try it out and see how it goes.
And we are located here on the plaza, and we're under the big tent, which actually has already been set up, luckily for us. And there are like 8-foot, banquet tables set up with folding chairs, which I guess will be the setting that night or not.
Friday night there will be bands playing. So this will be a very loud location. Yes. So we're actually thinking about going across the street onto some grass and then having some tables there, but we'll be in the vicinity.
Okay. So it will be a part of another event that is going on. And we're hoping that people will feel inclined to meet people they've never met before that live in the same community.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm sure, Donna, that when you do your outreach throughout Warren County, you see communities that are very different, let alone within those communities, very different neighborhoods that may or may not have any connection to one another.
Yes. Yeah. And the needs are so strikingly different in each community. And that is the whole reason why each of the municipalities here in the county have been wonderful partners with us. And, just really anytime that we need information or need to set up to do some kind of outreach, they're happy to let us. We exist in every single community in the county in one way or another, whether it's through our affordable housing, whether it's through one of our early learning centers for our younger kiddos to be able to get prepared for school success, or whether we, are reaching those folks with some of our other outreach with just some of the basic needs services that we offer.
Well, and not the least of which is Meals on Wheels, right?
Yes. Yes.
That is a program. I know I mention it every time I see you. That really drew me to Warren County Community Services because my parents actually lived in Richland County, where the drivers were volunteers, so they would volunteer and pick up the meals and deliver them to different households, and they would talk to me about, the encounters they would have with people. For instance, the Meals on Wheels folks sometimes were the only people that the people who live in the houses or apartments would see in the daytime. And a couple times I helped them, and so I was like going on the routes with them. I feel like everyone should do a ride along with a Meals on Wheels driver to see how much Meals on Wheels is appreciated, and also to see the diversity of neighborhoods.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I completely agree. It was extremely eye-opening, and not only that, but heartwarming to do ride-alongs with my staff, and to realize that we're not just taking them a meal, we're doing a well check.
Right.
And like you said, many times we're the only ones who are checking on folks on a regular basis.
Right.
And they look forward to it. And I think the funniest thing is, and I'll tell this story many times, is as the CEO, I'm doing a ride along and, going from house to house and meeting our people who are getting such wonderful, very tasty meals,
Right.
if I don't say so myself.
Right.
And they were worried that I was replacing my staff member. Like, they didn't know who I was, but they were like, I don't want somebody new. I like this person very much.
Right.
And I'm like, you get to keep her.
That's great.
I know.
I love that. There's a real connection.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, and there's a perfect example of, so for instance, Meals on Wheels folks that are delivering the meals, and they could be totally new. In most cases, they don't know the people they're delivering to. And yet, look how attached
They make those
they
long-term
become
relationships.
because they get to know them,
Yeah.
which is kind of what we're talking about, the neighborhood connections and meeting people that you would have no other way of meeting.
Exactly. Relationships are critical for our survival.
Right.
It's for our mental health, and it's also for us taking care of each other. If nobody's checking in, what if something happens? I know that your staff, because I've been able to visit now as part of Leadership Warren County. We went to the place where they make all the meals. We got to have some of the food.
Yes.
So we had a lunch served by Meals on Wheels team, and got to see their whole operation. And they said, sometimes we are the ones who find people who they're the ones who find them in need of medical assistance or some kind of attention, and we need each other. It's absolutely critical for us to be connected and check on each other.
Well, we were talking about this before we started the interview. Just recently, like day before yesterday, in the paper, an article jumped out at me, and I'm a very avid affordable housing advocate because I feel like people have no idea the challenges of finding good, safe, solid, affordable housing. You may take it for granted, but so many people that you would have no idea don't really have places to live necessarily. And that's something Warren County Community Services is really focusing on, right?
Yes. So, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that that the agency has done for many years now. I
Right.
believe our original, breaking ground of some of our housing sites was in the early 90s. And so we have really built and added on year after year. And I'm happy to say that we are adding our 12th housing site, our housing project, to our portfolio this year. And we hope to break ground soon on that. It's a 44 unit housing site in Lebanon, and it will be for those who are 55 and older. And it will be affordable, high quality, safe housing, which is something that all of our housing sites are.
Well, and again, Joy, I think you're saying too, we were talking about um, working with community members in terms of that discussion, right?
Right. And it's when we were talking about how every community is unique. I have learned in asking questions about housing, in particular here in Mason, that we are actually have in our charter a prescribed housing density. So um, there's only so many units allowed in a quarter mile. So if we wanted to change that, if we wanted to have a little bit more higher density, like actual apartment buildings or apartment complexes, which we have maybe two in the city, we would actually have to change our charter. And I'm not opposed to that. We actually talked about how many communities have in their charter that it needs to be updated every 10, 20 years. We haven't updated ours since it was written, as far as I know, other than that we will add things to it now and then, like every municipality does. But if we really wanted to address housing, I think that's going to be an important step that we have to take as a city is to say we are willing to have more units per acre or per quarter mile than we do now. And I think a lot will depend on like how do things unfold. I know there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Well, are we going into a recession? What's the housing market going to be like? It's been booming and it's been really good for people who are selling, but not good at all for people who are buying. And so, depending on how that goes, I think there could become more of an interest and appetite for addressing the needs that our community has. I have two adult children and one who's about to be an adult, and they can't afford their own places right now. Um, that's just the reality, and we're not the only ones by far. And so, there's a this is a real issue that we're gonna have to figure out.
Well, and I think too, I was just reading an article today. It was a large article, feature article on the Journal News. And it was talking about the people who actually work in Colorado at the ski slopes, at the gift shops, in the restaurants, maybe some teachers. And they were talking about the fact that many of them live in their vans, they live in their cars, they live in a truck, and then they try to find a parking lot where it's legal to park. And the thing of it is, they have to they live there overnight and then they go to work. It's just such a dichotomy, isn't it?
In like a luxury resort kind of
Exactly.
setting. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's just I'm more aware because I'm thinking about it. In terms of I think things have to happen to make it better, or just if it's coming to the top of the national agenda.
I think it's a problem everywhere. There's lots of reasons why. I've heard that because we de-emphasized the trades for so many years and really emphasized going to college, we have a shortage of skilled laborers, people who are carpenters, who are roofers and do flooring, who can build the buildings that we need to live in. So we have a housing shortage in part because we have a labor shortage of people who can do those things. if you're a plumber right now, your phone is ringing off the hook, and you've got plenty of work. It's a good trade to go into, but we've only just in the last few years really began to recognize that there are lots of valuable ways to earn a living, and we need the skilled trades.
Noticing more at the high schools all around. And I was a former high school teacher, so I'm very aware. In fact, I was a vocational high school teacher, home economics. So I know a little bit about vocations, and then it kind of the vocational programs, the like taking shop and so forth used to be kind of required in junior high in our school district. And then that kind of went away because of taking only college-bound courses and there wasn't time. Well, now I'm seeing many more collaborations of college-bound systems that are teaming up with very high-quality technical schools in the area. And they're finding that many students are choosing the technical once they realize that they can go right to a job, or while they're going to school, they can, in the morning, then they have already been hired and they're going to work in the afternoon. So even before they graduate, they have a paycheck, which I think
they
is
don't go into debt.
exactly. And even I have to say the colleges are realizing that they need to collaborate, and they can't just be college bound is college bound, and yet they realize that all types of technical trades have to be part of their curriculum as well. So I'm seeing more collaboration and so forth. So it's just interesting to see that evolution and so on. So let's think future projects, future plans. What is on the calendar for WCCS that might be coming up yet this summer? Are there programs? Are there fundraisers? Are there, different? Oh, I know. I just saw where the Heritage Group was awarded. Talk about that group.
The Heritage Bluff Men's Club.
Yes.
They are fantastic. They have been our partners for many things and for many years. And just like everything else, it sort of started small and then grew.
Right.
And they began many years ago serving some of our homebound seniors who receive our Meals on Wheels. They began serving them Thanksgiving dinners. Mm-hmm. And that I think it started at, they served 5 people, and then it went to 15 the next year. And then this last year, they served over 120 some households with that Thanksgiving meal. And they just are such a great supporter of ours and partner with us in many other ways as well. But they're really looking forward to serving those meals again at Thanksgiving in November.
Well, and I because of a program we did, I got a chance to meet a couple of them. This has been a few years ago, but I was so delighted to see that the county actually recognized them.
They did.
For this program.
Yes, this was about a year ago. And it was through the Warren County Foundation.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to give them that award and just really demonstrate how much they do give back to this whole entire community.
Right, exactly. Well, I think it's a wonderful idea. Any other kinds of programs that, during the summer? Are there things going on? I'm sure there are related to the high temperatures of the summer, for instance.
Oftentimes, we will be able to do some things and work with different partners for cooling centers. A lot of our libraries step up and open, for a cooling center when the temperatures reach such extreme. And we always start our summer crisis program on July 1st. and that is a utility assistance. It's for electric. And if somebody is unable to pay their utility bill, we're able to help them out as long as they qualify
Right.
wise. And that is for their electric, like I said, and it's to help them keep either their air on or to be able to, at least keep a fan running or a portable air conditioner so that they don't really jeopardize their health.
Right. Right. And do the children that usually go to Head Start or one of the children's centers during the summer, does their schedule change?
It does. We end our school year in May, and just like many other school districts,
Right.
we really follow that. We started back up in late August, early September, but during the summer, we do continue to offer that full day childcare. We do offer some what they're called as duration classes for some of the children to be able to attend and just kind of keep them up to
Okay.
speed so
Good.
that they don't have that summer slide.
Good.
And really, our Head Start staff is just they're so amazing.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Very good. Very good. Well, how about citywide? I know that because of the summer, there's always a traditional huge event that's right around the corner. Would you like to talk a little bit?
Sure. So yes, every July 3rd, we host Red Rhythm and Boom on our municipal campus, which we share with the high school. So this year we are having the bands Tonic and Better Than Ezra come and play. We will have food trucks. We will have a big kids zone with inflatables. There's booths from all sorts of organizations, so you can come and learn about what's going on in the community. Come and put a lawn chair out, save a spot for the concert in the evening, and then we'll close out the night, weather permitting, with fireworks and a drone show. Last year we were supposed to have both, but the weather was bad and the drones weren't able to do their thing.
Right.
It's always a really good time, and definitely looking forward to it. And then we also will be doing on Friday nights through the end of July, so the Friday, July 4th, music at Basin here on the plaza.
Mhm.
So we have two bands that come on Friday nights to play. And every other Friday night this year, we are also having a Mason Market on the Mile, which is our own small little farmers market. And we have local farmers and bakers and other folks who bring, last year we had wildflower. And there's a baker who my kids absolutely love her sourdough. So every time she's there, I have to go get their sourdough.
Okay.
And then fresh vegetables that are grown right here in Warren County. So definitely check out the market. We had it this last Friday, which would have been the 13th. So the next market will be on the 27th. I think that would be 2 Fridays from now, if I got my dates right.
Okay.
So I always love this part of the year because of those. They're just kind of community gathering times. Like I said, we're calling it the Say Hello Picnic. So grab something from the market, grab something from the food truck, come and say hello. We'll have a little hosted conversations. Well, July 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then our Heritage Festival is typically, I think it's usually the second weekend in September. I'll have to verify. I can get you the exact date.
Well, you did make reference to Make the Mile. Would you like to explain a little bit, since we're kind of sitting in the middle
Right in the
of
middle,
Make
yes.
the Mile, aren't we?
So the mile is a rough approximation still. I mean, it has yet to be officially defined, but it's approximately from 42 and Tylersville, where the railroad crosses, and Warped Wing is right there on the corner, through downtown on 42 down to Heritage Oak Park. That's about the start and end of the mile. It's probably a little bit more than a mile, and it's primarily Main Street, but there are also a few neighborhood streets that are parallel or intersect, that we consider to be our downtown. And we have been in a multi-year process in collaboration with our chamber and what's called the Mason Deerfield CDC, or Community Development Corporation, to actually do research and do listening sessions and have a community-driven downtown master plan. I understand that they should be getting a draft of the master plan this month. and we may hopefully July or August actually be able to view the final master plan, and that will give us kind of a roadmap, if you will, of like how we want to move things forward in this area.
Mhm.
Everybody I talk to is like, why can't we do something about the Mason downtown? Why is it so meh? And honestly, I think a lot of it was that we had so much conflict on our council that we could never make any progress. And it became a very political and politicized process. So bringing in the Community Development Corporation as the collaborative partner that's leading this has taken it out of that very politicized um, space and moved it into something that has more continuity and a lot more community engagement. So what we would then do with the master plan, and we're also in the master planning process for our parks, is we can take a look at that and go, okay, are there any zoning changes that we need to make as a city to allow these kinds of things to happen? Are there infrastructure projects that we need to consider? We've buried lines in parts of our downtown. We need to bury lines in other parts of our downtown in order to really make it work well, especially visually. We need to think about things like parking. We need to think about wayfinding and beautification, as well as connectivity. We were joking about a trolley earlier. People have talked about, what if we had a trolley that went from one end of the Mason Mile to the other, so that people, if they weren't able to walk that whole distance, could easily get from one place to the other. These are all dreams. But the master plan will help us to, as we move forward and as we know budgets for each year, it's and as a city, do the things that we need to do in order to make it possible. We're big advocates of what they call public-private partnerships, and so we want to, as a city, do our part to make it easy for private citizens and community groups to come in and say, yeah, we want to own the, beautifying our trash cans and painting them, or we want to do signage, or we want to do benches, or a multi-use trail that does the whole loop. There's lots of ideas. I'm excited to see what the plan ultimately looks like.
I've been noticing the painted rocks.
Yes.
And the painted rock designs throughout the Make the Mile.
It's called the Mason Rocks Puns. But yeah, the Mason Rocks Art Project. It's an art installation. And so people all over the community for a year were painting rocks with all different designs. And then 2 women took it on themselves to work with the different property owners in the downtown mile to create rock gardens, basically, with these painted rocks. And there's like a snake that's made out of these designs, or a turtle, or just like a path that you can follow, and it's so fun.
It pops out. The colors pop out,
and we can keep adding to it. So it's meant to be like an ongoing, growing installation.
Well, and the murals, I love seeing murals when they go up and so forth. And there are several that have kind of risen. You can see it takes, I know a couple of artists that's what they specialize in. And it's not just doing the world sketch on a sketch pad. It's transferring that to a massive wall or the alleyway over here or whatever. And it's just amazing what it does to a community, I think.
I do. Art brings people together. I think it's such a powerful way for people to share their culture and their art and design with everyone. So I absolutely love it. We're working on plans for an art park as well. So if you look right down Main Street that way, ultimately our vision is that you'll be able to see like an entrance to a park and a fountain, and we'll have an art park down at the end of Main Street. So it gives me chills thinking about it.
I know. That's
a long-term project, because that's going to require a lot of fundraising, but I'm really excited about it.
Well, and you mentioned that's a dream and so forth, but you have to dream it first.
Exactly.
And before you can actually make it happen.
Right.
So, well, on that note, we can certainly give a traffic count today to folks here in Mason. It's busy, and it was 1:30 to 2:30 that we were down here chatting today. And I did not realize the downtown was this busy during the middle of the afternoon, but it certainly is.
It is a holiday. I don't know if that's making it more or less busy.
That is true. That is true. But it's good to see because I had worked for Chamber of Commerce. I've worked in community relations, and you need that foot traffic. You need the citizen support of your different communities. If you want different things, I've had people say, well, I want our community to look like this or this or this. And then you ask them, how often do you shop in town? Do you shop the small retailers and so forth? And my grandfather was in my hometown of Shelby, Ohio, was, he was a small business owner. And so I know how much that means to support downtown. So with that in mind, shop downtown, come to all the events, support Warren County Community Services and all that they do, and volunteers. You still need volunteers.
We are getting ready to actually release a video to recruit volunteers, so be looking for that.
Great.
And just wanted to say, we have a fabulous new website that is going to explain like all of our programs and services. We don't really get to go into detail, and there's just so much that we do that there's never really time to go into that great a detail. But if folks want to know, please visit our website.
Yes.
And we've got just a lot of other initiatives, and we've got a great new nutrition program called Our Table, and just so many great things that are happening.
Well, Warren County is very fortunate to have countywide organizations such as Warren County Community Services. And I say that as a volunteer. I was mentioning to these two ladies that I have volunteered for Feelin Good for 10 years now. Boy, that time has gone by quickly, but I've loved every minute of it. So on behalf of Dean Lowry, who's our ICRC crew person putting this show together, our guests, I wish you well, and I hope that you're feeling good. Bye for now.